2026 regular board meeting of the Fenton Community High School District 100 in order. May I have a roll call, please?
Goodrich,
Yes.
McCullough,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
White,
Here.
Radzinski,
Here.
Figueroa.
Here. Please join me in the reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jason, please read our Fenton missions, belief, and Bison Wade statements.
Thank you. Our mission here at Fenton is to cultivate successful, passionate, and empowered learners through rigor, relevance, and relationship. Our belief statement is successful, passionate, and empowered learners thrive when we provide a safe, caring, and welcoming environment, when diversity, equity, and inclusion unify our community, when school and home collaborate as one, when we champion innovative teaching and engage learning with state-of-the-art facilities, when we infuse social and emotional learning into academics and culture, when we prepare students to fulfill their civic responsibility, and when we immerse students in authentic life experiences. And the Bison Way. Students and adults at Fenton High School create a safe, caring, empathetic environment where we believe in each other, respect diversity, communicate openly, grow together, and hold each other to high expectations to become the leaders and the innovators of the future.
Thank you, Jason. Next item is recognitions. Jason?
Yeah, we're very excited. We're going to go hit the rewind button to last spring with some softball success, and we're going to turn it over to Ms. Ward to introduce two of our awesome softball players and their coach.
All right. I'm excited to kick off this school year by recognizing students that had great accomplishments last year. And we're going to recognize two exceptional athletes who've helped raise the bar, not only for our softball team, but truly for our entire Fenton athletics program. I'd like to introduce junior Isabella Delgado and senior Sophia Hollis, who were both named to the IHSA 3A All-State softball team. So come on up. And Coach Dave Mello can also come up. So success in softball requires discipline, hustle, and leadership. These are qualities that Isabella and Sophia bring to every practice and every game. Their commitment extends far beyond their own play. Both of these young women inspire their teammates, represent our district with leadership and sportsmanship, and balance the demands of student life with top-tier athletic competition. Our head softball coach, Dave Mello, who I believe has been our head coach for 27 years?
Head coach for 19.
Okay, head coach for 19, but coaching for 27, is also with us tonight, and he'll give us a closer look at the remarkable accomplishments of these two young athletes. All right, Dave, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. First of all, thank you for having us. Appreciate you guys doing this, for now what's become an annual event for us. And because as Ms. Ward said there, I am fortunate to coach great individuals like Bella and Sophia, as well as the rest of the team. And that's the way we get here, is through the individuals. I'm pretty much just driving the car, and they're the ones doing all the hard work for it. But starting first with Bella over here, Bella being a sophomore at the time that this was accomplished, you know, she's one that we were waiting to get into the program, having an older sister that was in the program and also in this same spot 2 times. You know, we were counting the days, hoping she could maybe skip middle school to get here maybe a little bit sooner. But since she got here, she's a 2-year varsity starter for us. Primarily is our #1 pitcher. Any big game or any situation that calls for it, we want Bella in the circle. And just some quick numbers for what she did this past year. She had 9 wins and 3 saves out of our 22 wins. She also struck out 172 batters in just 92 innings. So just a little under 2 batters per inning, which when you can get almost 2 strikeouts an inning, kind of makes it easier on the rest of the team because then they're only making a little over 1 play on average. And she finished the season with an earned run average of 259, which is the lowest we've had since the mound was moved back 3 feet, because it used to be 40 feet, now it's 43 feet, and the 259 was the lowest we've had since it was moved back. And then also at the plate, she's a threat at the plate as well. She had 356 with 2 home runs and 31 runs batted in, and then didn't score as many runs as she should have because we would have a courtesy runner for her when she was pitching so she could come in and get rest. But the courtesy runner did score a lot of runs, but that was from Bella getting on base. And then here with Sophia, Sophia was a junior at the time last year with this, 3-year starter for us. As a freshman, Sophia came in and she was our #1 pitcher that year as a freshman. And she did a phenomenal job and pitched one of the best games we've had in our regional championship loss her freshman year. But it was pretty much holding the job over until Bella got here the following year. So then Sophia could return to her more natural position at third base, and is, in my opinion, one of the best third basemen, not only in the area, but we play all kinds of teams. She's one of the best third basemen that we see. And then at the plate, what was it, about halfway through sophomore year, did something a little, at the time, non-traditional. You see it more now in Major League Baseball. We turned her into our leadoff hitter. You know, primarily leadoff hitter is someone can get on base, steal a lot of bases. We turned her into a leadoff hitter, and I mean, before that, she was doing great. Since then, she's been on another planet at the plate. She finished this past year 491 average, 11 doubles, 4 triples, tied for the team lead with 5 home runs, which again, that's not traditional leadoff type hitter, especially in softball too. It's a lot of speed. Sophia scored 59 times in our 36 games because we had 1 forfeit in there. So she scored 59 times in 36 games. And then I don't have career stats yet because we plan to be back here next year with Sophia in this, but she's on pace for, and she might have a better idea than me at this time, but she's on pace to either finish at the top or in the top 2 or 3 in just about every offensive category in the history of Fenton softball, because we put together a nice little packet that they get at the end of each season, and it has the top 12 in each category. And I don't put them in there until they graduate, but I will be typing her name a bunch next spring. And just the last thing I have, we have a team. And so next spring, if you're available at all, we'll share the schedule. I'm hoping that maybe we can have the entire team, because we're going to achieve a lot in the spring. We'll get the All-State recognition, but we have a team. And I'm not afraid to throw that out there for other teams to hear, but we will be really, really good. So that's all I have. I'm going to turn it over to Bella. All right, to Sophia.
Hi, I'm Sophia. After high school, I plan on furthering my academic and athletic career at Triton College in hopes of studying cardiovascular or musculoskeletal sonography. I chose this career path because I've always found the medical field interesting, but I specifically chose sonography because it allows me to help people without being in a high-stress environment.
So board members, you'll remember that last month we started having our seniors, and last month some recent graduates present about their futures. We did, as I mentioned, steal that from our friends next door to our east at Leiden High School, and actually gave them some thanks for that just this morning. Bella does not need to talk right now. I have made that commitment to her. Sophia, thank you. That is an incredibly interesting career. Pass it on to the rest of the team. Healthcare is definitely where it's at when we look at the workforce data. So you are going to have a great life ahead of you. And to both of you and the whole team, Coach, just great job. Thank you so much.
Thank all of you. Appreciate it.
We have to do a picture.
Picture, yeah.
Oh, great idea.
You gotta hug it out. We thought you were doing it before.
And again, our families, you're welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to head out for the evening. Thank you all so much. Congratulations.
Have a good night.
The next one, we're going to have our selection of new board secretary. Are there any nominations for the board secretary?
Is there any interest? All right.
Anybody?
Reed has interest. I'll nominate Reed.
Mike?
I have interest, yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so Mike.
Mike and Reed?
Reed and Mike.
Anybody? Nominations are closed. All in favor of Mike Miller to be the board secretary?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Raise your hand, please.
Raise our hands.
3. Okay.
Bless you.
All
Thank you.
in favor of Reed?
Well, there's not.
Oh, wait.
There's not enough.
Karen, do you count the votes?
Yes, I got 2 votes for Reed, and I have 3 votes for Mike. Did I miss somebody?
It was 4.
It was,
I did mine as well. I don't
oh, I'm sorry, I did not see your hand up. I apologize. It was 4 for Mike.
Okay, since Mike received the majority of the votes and is now the board secretary, congratulations and welcome.
Thank you, everybody.
Take your time.
Karen, do we have any public comments tonight?
No, we do not.
Thank you. Our next item is informational items. Jason?
Yes, thank you so much. We have a number of informational items. We're going to start off tonight with, and we can advance to the next slide here, with the back to school update. Kate is going to provide us this, and there is a special video, I will give that away, that we are extremely excited to share with you as part of this. Kate, take it away.
All right. As I previewed at the last meeting, our theme for this school year is All In Next Level, which we have really been thinking about that based on last year was Level Up, and this year we're really focusing more on that community aspect and students, teachers, staff all being together in taking Fenton to the next level. So we had our sneak peek night, which was on Tuesday, August 11th, and this is the third time that we've done this. We did see a lot of freshmen that came in. The most popular thing for them to do this year was to find their lockers and to understand how to use their locks. So we spent a lot of time doing that, but we also saw our upperclassmen coming back, but it was really nice. We had a lot of sports that were there and activities so that students could learn about that ahead of time. So it's really just a nice casual event to get the year started as a community. So we were excited about that. Freshman orientation was then on Thursday, August 15th with the class of 2030. And I heard over the summer in talking to Principal Vergara at Blackhawk and Principal Kraus at Wooddale about the class of 2030, and both of them separately said this is one of the best classes that they've ever had. And that rang true. They came for freshman orientation. They were led by our Link Crew students. So we had 58 students, student leaders, 28 seniors, and 30 juniors, which is awesome to see that type of leadership from those two classes. But our student leaders commented on what a fun day that they had with the class of 2030, that these kids threw themselves in. They were doing all the warm-up activities. They were, making friends with one another. So it was really a great day, and that was a preview. And since the first day, the teachers of the freshmen have also said what an incredible class this is. So they're living up to their reputation, which is great. And then our first day of school was on Wednesday, August 19th. And as you can see from these pictures on the first day, many of our classes jumped right in we can see Mr. Barry there in physics class and doing a presentation in English. But we did what we traditionally do, 8 to 10. We had our freshmen come in and run their schedules, which is nice for them just to have the hallways to themselves and the attention of all of the staff and our Link Crew leaders helping them get from place to place. And then everyone comes in at 10 a.m. and runs through the schedule. So it was a great first day. We had a welcome video for the students that talked about some new expectations. And then this week, we're running our Bison Time assemblies. So every day this week, we have a different class and we're going through kind of our priorities for the year, which a couple of those, as I highlighted last time, we're really focused on attendance. That's been something that we've been focusing on. We've done a lot of thinking over the summer, well, really over the past couple of years, but we did a lot of work over the summer thinking about how to really titrate this message for kids and parents. And the theme we came up with is fewer than 5, and it's really resonating with the kids that the goal for each semester is to miss fewer than 5 days. And so, kind of we've thrown around before 90% and things like that, but it's kind of like, well, what does that mean? So students are clear about this. We've been talking about that with them. That's the goal, but we want our students here as much as possible. We've done a lot of communication with families about what's excused, what's unexcused, and how you call your attendance in. So students have been receptive. We've been going over this with each class so far. The other thing that we're implementing in anticipation of the law that was passed is the cell phone hotel. So you can actually see a couple that we have up in the ARC already. But in each class, when the students come in, they put their phones in the phone hotel, and they're there for the remainder of the class. That has been going tremendously well. We kind of figured that the freshmen would fall right in line, not knowing any better, but our juniors and seniors have also done a really great job with this. Like I said, we had the video with the expectation, and then we've been reinforcing it. But teachers have reported, and even in one-on-one conversations with students, they're all like, yeah, I can focus more. So it's really going well. We're proud of them for stepping up, and I think it's making the classroom learning environment, they're more engaged, particularly with one another, and that's the most important thing. So we're continuing to focus on this theme, all in together, next level for all, and our kids continue to do a really great job of that. Couple upcoming events to know. Thursday, September 17th, open house will be from 6 to 8 p.m., so we have that to look forward to. And then homecoming a little bit later this year. If you remember last year, it was like right at the beginning of September. So it's the week of September 28th. We will be playing Ridgewood for our homecoming game, and the dance is on October 3rd, and it's Under the Sea is the theme, so we're excited about that. And then finally, we shared this with staff on the second day, the All Staff Institute Day, but a very special message. I'll just let it play out, and then I'll explain a little bit afterwards.
Hi, everyone. My name is William J. Montgomery. I'm the great-grandson of Frederick Charles Fenton. When staff reached out and shared that this year's theme for District 100 was All In, it resonated deeply with my family's history. My great-grandfather arrived in Bensonville in 1921, and for 22 years as your superintendent, he was the driving spirit behind building a progressive school system for a rapidly growing community. When we look back at his 1940 census records, we found he was logging 60-hour work weeks. He was a natural-born teacher who was completely relentlessly all in for his students. Tragically, his tireless dedication was cut short. In the spring of 1943, he suffered a ruptured intestine that led to a grueling 5-week battle with severe peritonitis. Because it was the middle of World War II and antibiotics were scarce, there was no operation that could save him. He passed away suddenly at the age of 53, leaving behind his wife, Grace Roderick, and their 3 young children, 12-year-old Carol, 7-year-old Fred Jr., and my grandmother, Sylvia, who was just 9 years old at the time. Despite losing her father at such a young age, his immense passion for education lived on completely through her. She took that same spirit and became a teacher herself, dedicating 26 years to her students at Lincoln Elementary School, South Haven, Michigan, all while going all in for her family and adopting 2 beautiful girls, one of which was my mother. That legacy of commitment continues to trickle down today. My own daughters, Annika, Zoe, and Charlotte, draw constant inspiration from the lives and contributions of both their great-grandmother and their great-great-grandfather. They see firsthand what it means to dedicate yourself entirely to a community. As you start this new school year and embark on another adventure with the kids, I want to thank you on behalf of the entire Fenton family. To the entire staff at Fenton High School, by showing up every day and giving your all for these students, you're carrying on a beautiful, enduring legacy. Have a fantastic, inspiring year, and go Bison!
So a little bit of the backstory to this is kind of crazy. A couple of years ago for the new teacher orientation, I wanted to bring back the community tour, which we had done, and then it kind of fell out of favor for a while. And John Aguilar, who's a teacher who's actually retiring this year, but he's kind of the local Fenton historian and always knows different facts about Fenton, so I asked him to lead that tour. And as he was doing more and more research, he had this question of like, whatever happened to Fred Fenton? Like, we have pictures of him up, but like, what happened to him? What's this man's story? And so he's done more and more research. Fred Fenton is actually buried over at Mount Emblem, and so that became part of the tour, and he started doing research, and through looking at Find a Grave, he came in contact with Mr. Joe Montgomery, who is his great-grandson. And so they went back and forth, and Joe was really touched by, everything that we're doing at Fenton, just to have that connection. So he put that all together by himself, and our staff really loved that, and it was awesome. So just a really cool legacy for us to have, and we will be showing that to students eventually. We're going to find a Bison time to be able to do that, because I think they'll really like it too. So a great way to start the school year.
If I could just follow up on Kate's back to school, obviously it's new for me, right? I've had the immense privilege and pleasure. I've been in and out of, 4 dozen, 5 dozen classrooms in the last week. I've been on a bus ride. I've gotten to be at sporting events. I want to comment on just a couple things for the board. Number one, the level of care for our students is exactly what it should be. On the one hand, it's also extraordinarily high, and you see it all the time. You see it in the hallways, you see it in the classrooms, and while with adolescents, whether high school students or middle school students, that's always something we have to be working on, how they feel it. I think that's very important. But I see that our teachers and our staff feel it, and I see it in a lot of different ways. Instructionally, as Kate said, from the very first day, people have been engaging kids hands-on. I particularly want to call out, there was a single math period on the second day of school. I don't even know, it was an afternoon period. I went in and out of 4 random math classes. And the kind of instruction that was taking place where kids were thinking about the math and talking about the math, and it was the second day of school, so they didn't all want to talk with each other yet. Like that's got to be built, but the expectations and the supports for it were in place. Most high schools I've been in since COVID, that's happening in 0 classrooms or 1 classroom. To have 4 classrooms in a single period, all 4 I went into, having that happen, that is a real testament to the work of the teachers and the administrators, and I think we're going to continue to see dividends pay off. And so the bottom line is the foundation is very strong, and all the things that I've said to you and to the staff about being just so honored and privileged and excited to be here, that's even stronger a week into the school year, because I see like the pieces are here, we can keep building off of them, and so I just want you to know that as kind of an outside perspective, while I still have an outside perspective and am a little neutral and am learning the ropes. I definitely want us to, beat Ridgewood at homecoming, so let me be exceedingly clear about that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you very much, and I believe it was really informative to know about Mr. Fenton, because not many know about him. Thank you. We're good.
Okay, great.
Good evening, Board, again. We went through this in a little bit more detail during the Finance and Facility Committee meeting, but this is just for informational for the rest of the regular Board. I wanted to give you a Health Life Safety Survey Amendment update, where we're at with the plan and some next steps. So the school administrative team and the district administrative team, our buildings and grounds team, met with our district's architects, STR. We put together initial project scope and project costs that came in at around $35 million. And we worked with them over several weeks and several meetings to narrow that down to what we believed were the essential needs for the district for the present and the near future. And we were able to whittle that $35 million down to a project cost of just under $20 million. What that $20 million would entail is replacing 40% of our roofs. The eastern side of our building, that portion of our building has already exceeded its life expectancy, so those roofs need immediate repairs. We have another 60% of our roofs, and about 40% of our roofs have another 5 to 10 years, and then the last portion of our stem wing area, that those roofs are brand new. So the idea would be we would replace the most needed roof portions now, and then potentially 10 years from now we'd look at replacing that remaining about 80% of the other 40% of our roofs. Instead of redoing our south parking lots and redoing our entryways, we looked at just repaving the parking lots. We felt the parking lots and the entryways met the needs of the district, but we would take a look at cutting off about the top 4 inches of the parking lots and repave them. That would be a little bit of a more cost-effective way of managing our parking lots. Replacing our classroom and office unit vents, replacing our cooling plant, which is our chillers, our water tower, and our various pumps that work through conditioning the air throughout the building. And then looking at our air handling units that are on our roofs and in our walls, replacing about 21 of the 38. Instead of replacing all 38 at this time, we thought we would replace approximately half of them now, and then start going on a replacement cycle for the people that were at the committee meeting. Most of our air handling units were replaced all at once in the early 90s with the O'Hare noise money that we received. We're now in a situation 30-plus years later where all of them are expiring at the same time. And we want to create a structure like the roofs where we're replacing a portion of them periodically, as opposed to a couple decades from now, we're back to the board and the CSBO and the superintendent trying to replace all of them at once. And so for us, we just wanted to provide that information as an update to you as a board, and then here are the next steps. Our Architects STR will submit a completed health life safety survey amendment to the board at next month's meeting for approval. If you decide to approve that health life safety amendment, the architect firm STR will then submit it to the ROE and the state for their approval. That typically takes them a month or two to review, and if they approve the amendment, then we will then reach out to the board and discuss the life safety bond and go through the process of issuing a life safety bond to cover the cost of that work. And if all of that continues on as expected, we can begin some of the construction as early as 2027. And this might be done in stages, but we just wanted to make sure that we gave this information to you as a board, and we obviously want to make sure that we're taking care of our students and our staff today and in the near future. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so this first item, I'll jump in or jump it off, but then Leo or John may jump in on this one. This is something that, as the board, as we've looked at what other districts are doing and to make sure governance is as effective and efficient as possible, our board members are not highly paid, to put it mildly, in the state of Illinois. You receive a salary of $0, and you're all very busy people. One of the things we've looked at that, again, a number of districts have found successful is a move to the timing of closed session to before the meeting, and so, or the majority of the meeting. Obviously, we'd still start open session and then convene closed session and move into that and then come back, return to open session for the rest of the meeting. And so this graphic gives you a little bit of an idea of what that would look like. Committee meetings would typically start a little bit earlier. Now the start times would vary a little bit depending on the agenda items. If this was a packed committee meeting for this month, and so we would have needed a full hour. We would have done a 5:30 start on that and probably a 6:30 start on the actual meeting, and then very quickly, again, just do the roll call and the quorum and move to closed session. And then when returning to open session, what's typically done is that's when the Pledge of Allegiance and ceremonial things like the Bison Way and the mission and belief statements, the recognitions, and then the rest of the agenda. And thinking of like our students and families who show up, for example, or other members of the community, that helps them feel the start of the meeting with those ceremonial things taking place at that time. It also saves the board time earlier on. So Leo, John, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I want to know if you have anything to jump in and add here.
Sorry, I believe it's going to be very functional because we are fresh, we are prepared, and we are not at the end of the meeting. Usually at the end of the meeting is a lot of work, and I believe it's the best choice.
I mean, we've heard other members say the meetings are long. They can be lengthy. And by having an end, barring any unforeseen things out of our control, we can limit the extra conversation perhaps during closed session, or the added conversation. Not that we're not going to discuss things in depth, but we've all heard it. Some of us get up very early in the morning for work the next day. If we could streamline the meetings a little bit, make things go a little faster, if everybody's work schedule allows, start a little sooner, I think in the long run, instead of getting out of here at 10 o'clock, we can get out of here at 9 o'clock. I mean, when we had some bad times, we were here after 11, and with a 4 o'clock wake up, that makes for a long next day. So, I mean, hearing what everybody had said, this is kind of what Leo and Jason and I have come up with to discuss with the board. So this is just a discussion item here. Think about it, chew on it, and we can move forward. I forgot what our next steps were. I'll be very honest with you. This was another 4 a.m. start for me. I apologize.
Sure.
If for some reason that closed session is running long, would you delay the regular board meeting, or would you add a second closed session to the end?
So those are both options. I mean, in my experience, so I've gone through the transition from a end of meeting closed session to an early meeting closed session, and in my experience, there was only one closed session that went long in over multiple years, and in that case, we delayed the start of the meeting to, it was in between 7:15 and 7:20, and some other administrators were out here with the audience, kind of doing the pre-sitcom show, keeping everybody ready to go. But the board could always elect to return to open session and then, of course, return to closed session again. That is, essentially, you'd be recessing that, and you could do that.
It concerns me that this could be another barrier to public participation. And I do wonder, I think John's right in that there are opportunities to streamline the meetings. For example, we don't need to read the Bison Way statement every meeting. There are different things that I think can be done to make our meetings a bit more condensed on business as opposed to some of the other elements that we've done for years and that we only do because it's a part of what's been done. So I'd like us to look at opportunities to consolidate some of our meeting work and yet leave the transparency so that anybody that wants to view a meeting or see what's going on can do so.
Thank you. I like it. Anybody? Reed? Mike?
I feel it will be a little bit more productive in terms of time management, so it sounds like a great idea to me.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your input. Jason?
Yeah, I'll just take direction from the board. I mean, again, there's a number of things like this that, again, I'm here to facilitate for the board and support your work on this, and so this is one of those.
Thank you.
So just to be clear, this does mean that there's no guarantee that a school board meeting is going to start at 7 o'clock. And I think the comment about reducing conversation during closed session is very much stifles everybody's opportunity to participate. So I just want those things to be clear.
True, that comment is true, but again, if we go strictly in business, I believe we can achieve that.
And we do have the option, if it's necessary, to extend or take a break. What I forgot the term we were going to use.
Well, it's a recess, a closed session, but we'd be reconvening open session. And again, I'm here to facilitate this for you. The truth is, and I forget what the example was, and Karen, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think I did mention it to you last week, and I don't expect you to remember. There is history where, on occasion, the board has gone into an early, it was collective bargaining. It was the end of a collective bargaining process, and you went into closed session to discuss collective bargaining. And by you, I mean many of you may not have been on the board. I obviously wasn't here then, but you opened the meeting, you went into closed session, so then you could come back out and potentially vote on the negotiated agreement. So this is not a thing that's never been done at Fenton. I didn't go back to the 1940s or the 1920s per the video. We don't have that in board book online. So I didn't go back that far to find that. I don't remember. I should have written down the month and the year when that last happened. So again, there's some precedent for this. That's why in being asked to think about what are some ways the board can be efficient with governance, this was I'll be honest, I made this suggestion. It doesn't matter to me. I'm here either way, so.
Okay. We can proceed with that.
Okay. Thank you. The next item, I have two fairly quick updates for you. The first is an update. The second is informational. Strategic planning. So back during the interview process, one of the things that the board asked me to ask the candidates to talk about in a presentation, this was part of it, and I presented a plan for strategic planning that followed this time frame. Since then, we have actually gone ahead and looked at some alternative time frames as well, including a time frame that would have started just a few weeks from now, and a time frame that would have not taken place for a year. And we looked at, they each actually had significant pros, and they all had some cons. And after looking at all those and having discussions about them, ultimately we've landed back on the originally proposed time frame. So the plan right now is that we would conduct a strategic planning process, which would engage the community, a wide range of people, including our students, staff members, families, all kinds of other community members that we'll be inviting. We'll see who ultimately chooses to participate, but we hope a wide range of people will. And we'll do a series of large group evening engagements. We'll do some small group internal work, again, to keep it efficient for those folks. Most of that work will take place between winter break and spring break. It's possible we'll need to do a session after spring break, but if we do, we'll try and keep that as close to spring break as possible. We know how busy the last month of the school year gets for everybody. And then given this year's election and the number of seats we have open, we would bring it back to the board in June for like a final revisiting of the overview and a final informational session, being able to answer questions. And the goal would be that we would be implementing a multi-year strategic plan starting at this time next year. Would give us a focus for everything from instructional decisions and professional development to financial decisions, so that we're ensuring that all of that is aligned. My only two personal goals with this, I'll be very transparent about. One is that we get a wide range of people involved and that we have some creative ways of doing that to meet different people's needs. And the second is, I'm going to challenge all of us here tonight that the longer that plan can be and the fewer goals we have in that plan, all the research on school improvement suggests that's what most people are missing. They're doing annual goals, they're changing things every year, and that is not the road to school improvement. And so we want to be informed by 50 years of research and 40 really good years of that research. And so those are the only two things I'm hoping to accomplish out of it. And I'm excited to bring you back a more detailed update late in the fall before we start. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I appreciate your thoughts. And I do hope that in the plan, I agree with you about fewer goals, but I do hope that there'll be measurable objectives that can be useful to your planning beyond just this strategic plan. The other thing that I really encourage you to consider is making certain that those objectives align to any and all contractual obligations or commitments that you may have, for the sake of your own well-being and for the sake of your own ability to accomplish a variety of tasks that are going to be in front of you. Because I really don't believe this board has the capacity to ensure that you have that kind of alignment. So I do hope you'll carry that train forward.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. If I could just comment on that real quickly. So we do have one set of collective bargaining negotiations this year and then two next year. And there is a little bit of a chicken and egg in this. And of course, again, we want alignment between what we're all together trying to accomplish. I have a lot of trust to build with everybody here. I'll say that personally. I said it to the staff. I'll say it publicly. I don't expect anybody to trust me. I'm just a guy who came in from the outside who says he really cares about this place, but I need to show it to everybody one person at a time, and hopefully that's happening. But ultimately, the plan is not Jason's plan. It's our plan. I'm not teaching in every classroom every period of the day. I am not in all of our homes, and so my job is literally to facilitate that process. And so great points, Chris. I absolutely agree with both of them, and I thank you for saying them.
2 questions. Is the strategic plan being built from scratch, or is there a current plan that is being either revised or built upon? And then the second question is, are you personally leading that, or is it a consultant or otherwise?
Yeah, so great questions, fantastic questions. The previous strategic plan has ended. We are going to take advantage of that to build a new plan from scratch. We have talked about the fact that doesn't mean there won't be things from the previous plan that will not reappear. There are things in there that are of great value that are still relevant. My guess is those would reappear, but that's not up to me to determine. That's going to be up to the input from everybody. So to answer your question, in my mind, we're building a new plan from scratch. That plan also had a lot of goals, as many strategic plans do. And again, I hope to be informed by the research and steer us away from that. That's one of the two things that's really important to me. The second thing is we are not planning on spending $10,000 to $30,000 for someone else to come in and do this. People have spent money on my team in my previous role to help come in and do this, including nearby districts. We're going to take advantage of that. I will not be facilitating this by myself. There will be great opportunities for not only our administrators, but teachers and maybe even some of our students to be involved in leading critical activities. And I'll be working with them on those. But I think that is actually one of the strengths of the plan. And again, we'll bring back more details later in the fall. As you can imagine, if we're going to have people leading those activities, there's not a first 2 weeks of school conversation with those people while we're trying to do other things.
Sorry, one more follow-up. So if the current plan is expired and this work is not beginning until January, and we won't have like an official plan until next year, what are we doing? What are we doing now?
What are we doing? Well, we actually had a slide, and we're doing the things that the school's already been working on. So key ones that I would say, we're working on disciplinary literacy. We don't necessarily have specific target SMART goals for these things, let me be clear. But there is consistent professional development focused around the things. So I'm interjecting here on my own comment and answering your question. I apologize about that. There is observation and evaluation work being done around this, and then there is work being done with students, instructional strategies, classroom assessments. So disciplinary literacy, an emphasis on strategies for multilingual learners, and our focus on attendance. And those are three big things that we are doing. On the slide, when I highlighted for staff, these are the things you're already doing. We did add a fourth one, and that's with Doug having been here for a year, Michelle and I being new this year, there are systems that frankly we're looking at and saying, oh, or this system needs some updating, this system needs some refinement, or in some cases, there needs to be a system for this. So I want to be honest with you, for a lot of staff, for administrators, and to some degree for teachers, that systems work, that building foundational work, that is the fourth big thing that is happening. And as we'll get to on the next agenda item, we're well underway on some of that stuff.
You are way too, how can I say this, too kind to consultants, I'll put it that way. You're not giving yourself enough credit in that $10,000 to $30,000 won't get much of a strategic plan. It's amazing how expensive this has become. But please do consider, and I think this is something that maybe the board should consider and bring as a recommendation to you. There's plenty of data that already exists about some of the things that we need to do. We have two major issues that are just bringing things back to basics. One is truancy. That's a problem here, and we need to eradicate that. We need to bring our children into a safe environment where they want to focus on learning. And the second is our test scores. Our test scores on the various exams that are given. At best, I think the science test maybe is kind of a walk on a treadmill that it bounces around but never really goes up over time. The others kind of stay stagnant. So I do think we need to make sure that in any strategic plan that's authored, that those two elements permeate through.
Thank you.
Well, The thing I can say that this is going to be the third time that we're going to be into the strategic plan. The previous one, I just participated in one. The previous one, I was not, but I participated in a District 2. And it's always interesting to interact with people, with teachers, with community members, with the students, what they need, and I believe we are in the right path. We got Jason, and I believe we can achieve that.
Thank you. All right, going on. So one of the systems that we've already put in place and is up and running is administrator evaluation. So this is something that I saw based on feedback from the board and kind of thinking about how we leverage our strengths, but also help me develop an understanding of where we're at. This was something that I thought this is something we can do right away. To the point that Dr. McCullough made about negotiated agreements, this one I didn't have to wait around for negotiated agreements, and we could model learning ourselves as leaders by putting this front and center. So we are building on last year's work. Kate led some really great work last year to start updating and refining evaluation at the building level. I do want to call out Kate's mentor, Janice Schwartz, was the principal at Downers Grove North, and she has also been one of the leaders statewide in training on the new Illinois Principals Association School Leader Paradigm, which IPA has led the nation in this. There's 15 or 16 states that have been part of this work, and it's been led by the Illinois Principals Association, and I would say that Janice is one of 3 people who's been critical in that work, and so that was a real asset to Kate and to Fenton last year, and again, she's someone I just have an enormous amount of respect for, and what Kate did last year was really just turned out to be a perfect runway into what we're doing this year. And so we're building on that work. The focus of the statewide plan, as well as our focus, is on growth. While the educator shortage is minimizing, there are still areas in which we have shortages. Administrators are one of those areas. And so we really want to double down and make sure that all of our leaders are as strong as possible. We owe that to our kids, their families, and to our staff. This is a plan that we've developed that's in direct compliance with state law and based upon these best practices. And again, by leading with the administrator evaluation, we're going to model being vulnerable and our own learning with each other for the whole organization. So we're really proud. I'm really proud. I'll just be perfectly honest with you about that. I'm really proud of how this turned out. I talked to probably a dozen other school districts, superintendents who I thought were really kind of at the forefront of this, and I'm pleased to tell you that I don't think anybody has a more cohesive but practical plan than what we're implementing here right now. So first of all, for our instructional leaders, there are intelligences and domains. Those are listed on the slide. These come directly from that Illinois Principals Association School Leader Paradigm. And then we have a process, which I'll get to in a second. For the operational leaders, so the operational leaders here are Doug, Michelle, Brittany, Carl, Rick. Those don't exist in the same way. So we're using the same intelligences, because those are about how we lead. And then we've developed customized domains based on the professional standards for each of those positions from their state and or national organizations. Again, I will tell you, I have not seen a single other district in the state that has developed this aligned with the new system. The process you see there's beginning of the year self-assessments, which people will start taking next week and the week after. Then we'll move into the goal setting phase throughout the month of September. We'll do observations. There will be check-ins and conversations around this, and summative evaluations will take place. Late winter is the timeline by state law that those need to take place. Now, with that all said, to go back to what are we doing this year, well, what are we doing this year, those things, when I said evaluation, we will be talking about those things in this process, for example. And so it's, again, bringing it all together. So I'm not doing something for this purpose and something different for this purpose, so we can be efficient and aligned and hopefully have a real impact on kids. One of the things I want to call out before we wrap this part up is, if you look at the rubric of what what describes your level of performance, proficient is a very high standard. And so this is a level setting with our administrators to say, hey, if we're proficient in these, we're doing really well. And so that whole excellent, I need an A on my paper, is probably not where we want to be focusing on. So that's it for administrator evaluation. Are there any questions? Bless you. Okay, oops, wrong way, sorry. Last thing, just another follow-up on behalf of the board. There's quite a bit of this on the agenda. We have our 3 board committees, so I'm speaking this on behalf of all of you. Please jump in here, if, Leo, John, or anybody. We have finance and facilities met tonight. Policy meets next month, and learning equity and achievement is scheduled for October. Obviously, we have an open board seat to fill. We're planning on revisiting who is on which committee at next month's board meeting as part of filling that seat. So just wanted to call that out there and allow everybody to be thinking that. I'm going to walk back to my seat, and we're going to turn it over to Karen to update you on this month's FOIAs.
Hello, board. So we received one FOIA. Ms. Katie Smith requested salary and benefits for the superintendent, the associate superintendent, and the assistant superintendents. The request for the information was provided, and this FOIA has been resolved.
Thank you, Karen. Does anyone have any board committee reports, finance and facilities, learning, equity, and achievement, or policy?
Well, finance and facility, I think we've beat up pretty well here tonight. Doug, thank you for the detailed reports. If it was all addressed today, so I mean, we heard the small update and the full updates available, so I think we beat that one up.
Thank you, Jan. And I believe the board policy committee is going to be next month?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay, now we're going to the consent agenda. May I have a motion in a second to the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Goodrich,
Yes.
sorry. I knew that was going to happen. That's why I paused. Okay. Radzinski,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
McCullough,
Yes.
Figueroa.
Yes, motion passed. Next item is the intergovernmental agreement for 26-8 student attendance. Jason, can you give us some background about that?
Yep, I would love to. Thank you so much. So Section 26A of the Illinois School Code is a law that went into effect last year. It's designed to provide protections for students who are parents, expectant parents, and or victims of domestic or sexual violence. This new law is unique in a few ways with regards to traditional school district policies and practices. First, for students to qualify under 26A protections, there need not be any connection between the precipitating events and school. Second, schools are required to essentially accept student and family claims without further investigation. So obviously we cannot disclose specific information to protect student privacy, but I want to be explicit in stating that the precipitating events in this 26A claim case did not take place at school. They have nothing to do with school employees. Rather, the reasons that we are involved as a school district are two. One is because we have a duty to care for all of our students. And second is the requirements of 26A. I'll also throw out that just yesterday, the Illinois State Board of Education did, in their weekly newsletter to principals and superintendents, release a frequently asked questions on 26A, which is interesting because almost no superintendent I've spoken about this with was aware of 26A yet. So, so that's some background on this.
Thank you. May I have a motion to the Board of Education for this agreement?
Motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Miller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Radzinski,
Yes.
McCullough,
Yes.
Goodrich,
Yes.
Figueroa.
Yes, motion passed. Our next item is the railroad fence project. Jason, again, there is anybody can give us some background about that?
Yep, Doug, you want to jump in on this one?
Yes, good evening, Board. This is almost a 2-year project in process, and hopefully we're getting to some final resolution here. We have been working with the Village of Bensenville, the IDOT, ICC, the Illinois Commerce Commission, Department of Transportation, to work on putting up a railroad fence along our northern border, along the railroad fence, for a multitude of reasons, but essentially for safety of our students. The Village of Bensenville has to conduct the bid. We cannot conduct the bid for a variety of the reasons within the grant through the ICC. They received an initial bid result of $246,000. That bid was significantly higher than the original grant amount back in 2024, that when we began this process. They rebid the project, and they had a secondary bid. There were a series of clarifications with the ICC about the fencing project. They were able to sort of lessen some of the requirements of the fencing structure. So they received some additional bids, and the lowest responsible bid came back last month at $163,000. We need board action for this because it is about $48,000 over the original $115,000 grant amount that was essentially agreed to back in 2024-2025 school year. We will also reach out to the ICC to see if they will extend the grant amount beyond the $115,000. But if they cannot, we're asking the board for action to cover these additional project costs.
May I have a motion for the 40, how much it is, 42?
$48,695.
$48,000.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. Did you include the $48,000 in the tentative budget?
Yes, I did. I added it into Fund 60, so our capital project fund.
How likely is it that the grant will be increased?
You give your answer, then I'll give mine.
I've never worked with the ICC on this before, so this would be a new frontier. Truthfully, similar to 26A, Fenton, we are on the cutting edge of this, so we would be one of the first, if not the first school district in the state to be working on a project like this with the ICC. So we are really hoping that with that conversation with the ICC that they will be a willing partner with upping that dollar amount, so that way we can encourage other school districts around the state to provide safety for their students. But I can't guarantee that they'll match that.
Yeah, if there's positive action on this tonight, we should add the Village of Bensenville did vote to approve this last night. So if we have positive action, this will be moving forward then, which is great because we can get the fence put up this fall when we don't have an amazing softball team trying to hit home runs back there. But the part of this then will be the strategy. We do have contact information for ICC. We'll be reaching out to them. I'll also be reaching out to our legislators to make them aware of this and see if they have an interest in trying to assist us. That's not even something Doug and I have talked about yet. That was thought over the last 4 or 5 days. And again, tomorrow we'll be moving on this if you vote to approve this. I think it's unlikely, but I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, just to piggyback on, I actually brought Fenton to the ICC as a school board member, and also through my work with the railroads, the attention to our issue. And so we are groundbreaking. This is the first time they're doing this. This is part of why it's taken so long, because they set one course of action and then found out they had to take another course of action because of regulations and statutes, and that's extended this process over multiple years. What was hopefully to be done in 6 months has taken 2+ years. So not as a school board member, but as an Operation Lifesaver person and a railroad employee, I will also be speaking to the ICC saying, hey, we're breaking ground here. Is there any chance? So we're going to have multiple people working, but I mean, $48,000 to save one life. I mean, this is something that, at my full-time job, when your deputy chief comes up to you and says, when are you getting your fence? I'm tired of having to chase your kids off the railroad tracks. Kind of hits home. It's long overdue. I don't know why this wasn't done sooner other than cost. Plus, getting IDOT, the railroad, and all the other entities to agree to the fence is another major hurdle that we've cleared. So we're breaking ground, and on the Operation Lifesaver side, those of us in the field have already been directed to find schools where we can apply this once we finally work all the kinks out of it. So again, we're on the forefront of something. It's still less money than we spend on most of our matching grants, so we're still coming out ahead. And if we save one life, I mean, what's the price of a life?
Thank you, Jan. Chris, I hear you. I see that you're going to say something. No? All right. Roll call, please.
Goodrich?
Yes.
McCullough?
No.
Miller?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Radzinski?
Yes.
Figueroa?
Yes, motion passed. Our next item is the tentative budget. Jason?
Yeah, Doug has a short overview. That's a summary of what we provided during the Finance and Facilities Committee meeting.
I'll come up here and present because it's a few slides. So this is, again, a recap from the Finance and Facility Committee meeting, but within our budget for the 26-27 school year, there were some factors to put into play in terms of navigating the 26-27 budget. The annual salary increases tied to our collective bargaining agreements, the board-approved staffing plan that was done last spring, the increased cap in our revenues tied to CPI at 2.9%, and then the expected budgeted increases in things like electricity, natural gas, our 15% insurance increases across PPO and HMO, and then other supplies, materials, labor costs, and then again that $2.3 million STEM wing debt certificate that we have 2 installments that will be due this year. We have an estimated operating revenue increase. Again, this is slightly conservative. Again, with revenues being capped at 2.9%, this budget has a 1.94% operating revenue increase. We will continue with the anticipation in December to under levy in Fund 50 and shift more funds to Fund 10, Fund 20, and Fund 40. That's Education Fund, Operation Maintenance, and Transportation. We have an estimated operating expenditure budget increase of 4.1%. Even though we have collective bargaining agreements that are significantly above, in many cases above 4%, and our benefits are above 11%, et cetera, our salary increases due to some staffing changes and staff retention. Our overall salary increase will be at 3.9%. Our benefit increases will be at 11.2%. We have tightened the belt across multiple department areas by about $400,000 in supplies and materials. And this is a pretty ambitious budget that we're estimating that we will have an operating fund deficit of $1.33 million. That includes the STEM wing payment. So once again, if we we remove the STEM wing payment of $2.3 million, we would have an operating fund of $1 million plus in fund balances. So that estimated operating fund balance would be at $20.7 million. Just as a reminder, from last December, we had Dr. Rob Grossi from Illuminate come in and give a 5-year projection. If you take a look at a 1.33 operating fund deficit that is tied to fiscal year 27, that's actually slightly better than the realistic best case scenario that was projected in fiscal year 27. So it is a very ambitious budget. I am, of course, hoping that our revenues come in higher than expected, and I'm hoping that our expenditures come in lower than expected, but I wanted to present that to you this way as well. And then this is just a summary page of what the very large-scale 55-page Excel document for ISB and the budget looks like. Dr. White, as you were alluding to, if you look in the expenditures, Fund 60, in the support services, there's $350,000 budgeted. That's $160,000 for the fencing project, the $160,000 that we've already agreed to the plumbing project, and the tennis court cleanup that we did. So that's tied in there, so I budgeted that in there already. And if you see in the bottom right, we have a 1.33 negative revenue to expenditure, and our operating funds would be $20.7 million. And then finally, the next steps. Though it is not a part of the Illinois School Code, we do not have to have the tentative budget actually approved by the board, but that has been past practice in this district to bring it to the board's attention for approval. If the board does take action and approve the tentative budget, it would be put on display in the district office. And then next board meeting, we will host our public hearing on the budget at the beginning of our board meeting, and then later in the board meeting, we would have board action to approve the budget. And when the board approves that budget, it would be submitted to ISB, the ROE, and then placed on our website per all of the guidance.
Thank you, Doc. May I have a motion to the Board of Education for the tentative budget?
Yes.
Second.
Any discussion?
I don't understand why we're voting on this.
Jason?
It's been past practice. You're right, we do not need to vote on it, but some districts do vote on it, and it's been past practice at Fenton to vote that we're putting this on display, essentially, or that in this case it is on display. And so that's certainly something from a governance perspective we could look at in the future. Or
I think we should only vote on the final budget, not a tentative budget.
True. But in the meantime, if we're going to be presenting something like we're doing, and everybody's looking for transparency, we can start with that. This is what we are attempting to do. And definitely we're going to have the final rope, and definitely we're going to need one more vote. But I believe we are in the right track.
Is the budget that's on display the full ISB document or just the summary slides that you showed us?
It is not. After this meeting, what has historically been done in this district, once it's been tentatively approved, then we start uploading it into the ISB budget form, and then the ISB budget form comes to you in full at the September board meeting.
But what gets put on public display?
The public display is the chart of accounts. It's this presentation. It'll be the chart of accounts. It'll be the summaries of the revenue and expenditure accounts, the funds and the objects and the functions.
Got a question. This is all preliminary, right?
Yes.
So this is not etched in stone. If something comes up between now and the final, you can tweak it?
Yes, and then if that happened, I would bring that to the board next month and indicate to let you know I have made a change here or there, and I would highlight that for you.
All right, but you can at least get confirmation that you're 95% there and can continue on with whatever direction you're going.
Correct. I believe that history of why it was approved is because if there was a direction that the board wanted to give the CSBO in the past, move money here, move money there, do something different, we would get that guidance, and then the CSBO would have a month to make those adjustments.
Okay, no more questions? Roll call, please.
White,
Yes.
Radzinski,
Yes.
McCullough,
No.
Goodrich,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Figueroa.
Yes, motion passed. Our next item is the Board of Education meeting schedule and calendar adjustment. Jason? It's a discussion only.
Correct. And this again, these next two items are really, I'm just going to turn this over to the board, but as a preview for this one, and this is the same draft that the board has previously gotten from me. A few board members had heard from members of the community about wanting to be at multiple board meetings. There were some conflicts. So question one that I received from those board members was, how often are there conflicts? Is that every month? And then question two was, what would an alternative calendar look like? And so this document helps us see where the conflicts currently exist, and where they don't exist.
I'm sorry, may I interrupt for a moment? I apologize for doing this. Doug, may I ask you, why did you react the way you did over that vote?
I'm sorry?
Why did you react the way you did over the vote for the tentative budget?
No, I'm going to jump in here.
I think it's a fair question.
Yeah, you direct questions to me,
Okay.
and I get to determine if they get directed to our staff.
Okay, I'd like to know why Doug reacted the way he did to that vote.
Well, I have an idea why Doug reacted the way he did to that vote, and I'd be happy to publicly share my idea, but Doug and I can talk about that offline outside the meeting as well. My idea, though,
yes,
at the risk of like my entire job and everything I'm doing here, my idea is that we've been working very hard individually with board members to help ensure that they understand what is taking place here and that the good, insightful questions that are being asked of us are answered in a way that benefits our students. And Doug was expressing satisfaction of a job well done. Am I right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to go back to the calendar agenda item. Multiple board members were asked to review the calendar because community members wanted to attend multiple board meetings that took place on the same night. This is something I've experienced in other places as well with elementary and high school districts, and it's an issue that we have to some degree here. And so this document was able to identify where we did have those conflicts, where we did not have those conflicts, and again, an alternative schedule that would avoid those conflicts. Obviously, as Leo just said, this is a board discussion item. So there's no action to be taken tonight. Certainly, I'm happy to take direction from the board and come up with other alternatives. I think the board has a lot of options here in front of it to make no changes whatsoever, to make changes effective sometime in the next couple of months. I would ask on behalf of the board that we make no change to the September meeting because of both the budget and because of the seating of a vacant board position, or changes could be made for next fiscal year starting in July. So with that, I turn it over to the board.
Any discussions? I want to hear. Do you agree, disagree with the dates, or what we can do to do better?
I like the idea of getting us out of the fourth week because we run into issues every year around Thanksgiving, around the holidays and Christmas break, winter break, however we want to term it. And some of us have multiple meetings in the fourth week for the board, so it would not have some of us attending a meeting on Wednesday and Thursday. So I think it makes sense to kind of move it into the third week instead of the fourth. I never liked the fourth week since we're having the discussion. I think the third week flows better. As far as Wednesday or Thursday, those were two dates that were thrown around. I'm indifferent. I know some board members have expressed that Wednesday is easier based on their schedule. Totally respect that. I'm indifferent. And I do like the idea of allowing parents, because I had one child in grammar school and one child in high school. It would have given me the option, if I needed to attend multiple board meetings where I'd have to pick one over the other. I don't think that's fair. And what if a superintendent wants to come, they have their own board meeting? What if one of us would like to go and sit in the audience to see what's going on? I don't know, I just, keeping the schedule separate, again, we always talk about being transparent, allowing the public the ability to attend. If we have conflicts even one time a year, I think that's too much, because that may be an important meeting to someone. So a simple change to the third week, whether we do it next year, whether we do it this year, I defer to the board as a whole. But that was kind of my thinking when we first discussed this. Came up when Mike and I were at the Bensonville Foundation meeting, and we were talking with people from District 2. And it was brought to our attention that we have conflicts multiple times a year with their schedule. So, I mean, in all fairness to District 2, let's adjust. And like I said, the third week, we avoid a lot of the holiday changes we have to do and some other changes we do every year anyway. So that's just my 2 cents on that. What's everybody else feel? How do we want to do this, move forward, action next month, wait till next year? What's everybody feel like?
I'm fine with the third week.
Is one day better than the other, Wednesday or Thursday? Because that's come up too in discussion with other individual people.
For me personally, Wednesdays are fitting. Thursdays get really busy for me, so that would be kind of problematic.
Okay.
Third week Wednesday?
Third week, Wednesday?
Yeah.
Reed?
Changing the board meeting to the third week instead of the fourth to avoid keeping it Wednesday instead of Thursday, though? What do you think?
I'm just, whatever goes with the flow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Wednesday, Chris?
Third week, okay?
Third week?
Third week Wednesday? When do we want to do it?
yeah,
Now's the
when we
next
want-
question. Do we want to start in October? Because we do have a conflict in October, November, and December with District 2. Can we make the change this year, or is that going to throw us out of whack? Going to the third Wednesday, starting in October. I mean, because then we
I'm fine
avoid
with
the
that.
holiday mess.
I'm good with immediately after September, so.
We're gonna go immediately in October?
Want to do a vote on this?
Yeah, so the one, well, you could just direct me to, I mean,
Don't we have to take some action
you would
because
have
we
to
got to
take
change
action
the meeting
in the
and
September
post it?
meeting.
Yeah,
You could do it in
September.
the September meeting, it can be an action item.
An action item.
The other thing I just want to point out is that in November, to avoid the conflict, you would actually meet on the second Wednesday, which I don't have my calendar open, but that may be Veterans Day. Because of everybody's moved their meetings around that month because of the joint conference. I apologize.
Veterans Day is the 11th, the 12th would be the Thursday.
Right, but so if we're going on Wednesdays, because the 18th, there is already a District 2 meeting. So it would be on the 11th. So that would be the one exception in this would be the second Wednesday. And again, I'm happy to generate, if the board directs me to do so, a revised calendar that I can send to the board, frankly, by tomorrow. Just if you want to review it in your email, and then we can plan for that for action in September if that's the direction of the board.
Looks good.
I'm okay with that, yeah.
All right, thank you. Our next item is the Board of Education meetings to be broadcasted in YouTube. It's a discussion only. Jason?
Yeah, again, this was something that board members brought to me. We've done a little bit of homework, which I've shared with the board in terms of costs. We obviously have members of the team who we are very thankful for their expertise, time, and work ethic that are here and involved in setting up. So we do spend, just to answer that question of how much, it varies from year to year depending on how long our board meetings are and how many additional meetings, but somewhere from $5,000 to $7,000 in overtime. There's a little bit of an opportunity cost as well. in terms of other work not getting done on those board meeting days, even during the school day. And then there's equipment costs. So for example, the camera that we're using is probably coming up and being due for a replacement. That would typically be in current pricing about a $3,000 to $3,500 camera every 5 years. There's some other equipment that's probably replaced on more like a $1,000 to $2,000 cycle every 3 years, just based on wear and tear. And so just some numbers to help the board based on what we put together after being asked. And so I think that's the background I have.
Thank you. Discussion, we're gonna hear your pros, your cons.
Well, this was another thing that came out of the Bensonville Foundation meeting, talking with District 2, that they said they had stopped broadcasting their meetings with minimal negative feedback and looking to save costs and other things. If it's not something we're required to do and we could save overtime and repurpose equipment, you know, let's stop doing this. That's my opinion for what it's worth. Every $1,000 we can save, the better.
Great
question. You currently got live transmission budgeted for next year, yes?
I'll jump in and say, we have overtime budget. I mean, we have money for overtime budget.
Yeah, right.
That gets used for a variety of different things. That's one of those that anything from this to depending on how often it rains hard and our roof leaks.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
So, and that's where you get the, what, the $10,000 number, because that's what you've got going into next year, around terms?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't find any burning reason why these need to be broadcast. That's my opinion.
If you watch the YouTube videos, you can tell how many views there are, and there's really, we're talking really low view counts. So,
Yep.
and if we're saving money in the meantime.
Thank you.
I did have one board member that asked, I should have mentioned this in the background, about other neighboring districts. And just as, well, I didn't do a massive survey because it was the beginning of the year and people didn't want to answer this for me. I do know that our next door neighbors at Leiden, mentioned twice tonight, and also next door to them at Ridgewood High School, also one school district smaller than us, but similar in size. They do not broadcast their meetings at all and have not since COVID. They only did during that window. So just some context about similar districts that I was asked about.
Nikita.
I guess I've got a pro and a con. The pro would be that it would save money in an already deficit budget. The con would be that anybody that is unable to attend would not be able to go back and watch at their leisure. But generally, I'm fine with it.
Chris?
It's another opportunity to reduce transparency, and I see the board gravitating toward that, and I think that's sad.
Okay, Jason, there is another way to work with that. We don't broadcast, but there is another way to post the meetings.
Well, I mean, ultimately, we have to capture them in the video and capture the audio being the really important part when you're doing video production and the really tricky part. So I think the expenses, there's really no additional cost to the live broadcast. It would be the same cost to show them a different way. I do want to point out on the transparency thing, just to reiterate something I had shared with the board last week. One of the things that happened differently with this board meeting when we talk about that item number 4 of things we're working on, changes in systems, this agenda did get posted differently than previous Fenton agendas. This agenda was posted on Monday in advance of the 48-hour Open Meetings Act requirement, this time with all of the attachments. And that is not something we have done here. That is something that is commonly done in many places. And so I just want to say that from the things I'm bringing forward, we are pushing towards transparency because in a tightening fiscal environment, we need to be transparent to help everybody get on board with difficult choices we've all got to be a part of making. I don't want to comment. I want to leave this discussion up to the board on the pros and cons. But I just want to point out that there's a commitment to transparency, and I've had support on that from board leadership.
Thank you. We're going to leave it as a action item for next month. Does anyone have any community and public engagement report? Let's say that Bensonville Community Foundation, ISB, LEND, NASIC.
Fentonville Community Foundation is meeting on the 24th of September, so we'll have an update after that.
Actually, we didn't report on the July meeting because of the way the dates fell. We did have the July meeting. Yeah, because of the way the sequencing falls, it's hard. Being on the 3rd, it'll be easier when that occurs. So we did have the meeting. We did have a quorum. It doesn't look like we'll ever be receiving the Subaru money, or at least not for a while. We were looking at our total remaining revenue to be spent. We went back to approving just the mini grants, which is what they did prior to getting the money. We approved 3 grants. None of them exceeded the mini grant requirement. I'm looking through my notes here. Yeah, so the mini grant, I got to look. Yeah, we did approve 3 things. We are looking at fundraising. We are looking at other options. And there was a lot of good general dialogue. We also introduced Jason. He attended the meeting. So we're getting everybody out there. So yeah, so we will have another report in another month.
Thank you. ISB delegate, that is me. We haven't met yet. LEND.
We have our first LEND meeting of the year on September 28th, I think, 25th, one of those 2 days. And I am actually also in the process, Jen Figarelli, who is the executive director of LEND, and we've worked together previously a little bit on some stuff in my last role, but we are setting up a time to meet individually. And Dr. White, I will keep you posted on that in case you want to join for that, virtually or in person.
Thank you. You are there right now. Can you tell us about NASIC? It was your first meeting August 12th.
Yeah, we did have our first NEDSEC meeting. So we have co-interim executive directors of NEDSEC this year. Judy Hackett, who spent her career, finished it for decades as the executive director of NSSEO based in Palatine and Arlington Heights. She has done this for a long time. And Terry Sofianos, who finished her career as a district level special education administrator. They have come from recent work in other regions, and we are moving forward with the executive director search. We'll be ramping up in the coming months, and I think those are the big hits right now for NEDSEC.
No, we are looking for also the CSBO.
CSBO as well. Yes, we have an interim CSBO, and that is Bruce Martin from Fenton Community High School District 100 fame.
Thank you. Our next board meeting will be the policy committee meeting is scheduled at 6 p.m. prior to the regular meeting. Our next scheduled Board of Education meeting is Wednesday, or we're gonna
we'll do it in October because of the budget and the board vacancy.
Okay, it's gonna be September 23rd, 26th at 6 p.m. May I have a motion and a second to go into closed session for the following? Illinois 122C, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal, or specific employees, or Fenton Community High School, District 100, Illinois 122C3, the selection of a person to fill a public office as defined in the Open Meetings Act, including a vacancy in a public office when the public body is given power to appoint under law or ordinance or the discipline, performance, or removal of the occupant of a public office when the public body is given power to remove the occupant under law or ordinance. Illinois 122C10, the placement of individual students in special education programs and other matters relating to individual students. 5 Illinois 122C21, discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed under the Open Meetings Act, wherever for purposes or approval by the body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by Section 2.06.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Brzezinski.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Goodrich.
Yes.
McCullough.
Yes.
Figueroa.
Yes. Motion passed. Now we are in a closed session.
respect people by supporting and encouraging their expressions. The goal of discussions of the goal of discussion at Fenton High School. The goal of discussions that see when you're talking. Here I am talking direct into the microphone. Hello, Brittany. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear my voice? How about now? Can you hear my voice? How do I sound now? Can you hear the sound of my voice?
May I have a motion and a second to go back in the open session?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
I can't find Goodrich. There he is. Okay, Goodrich.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
White. Rosinski.
Yes.
McCullough.
Yes.
Figueroa.
Yes, we're back in open session. May I have a motion and a second to adjourn? All in favor,